Woman cannot empower men.
What are we on, Game of Thrones?
Huh?
Your first response was what?
The baby look like he can be for Donald Trump.
Oh, now I get what you say. Okay, could you just talk? Tana,
And I
what
was
made you
excited.
say hold up, hold up, hold up?
Sure, we just met. And you pregnant 2-3 weeks later?
His family members is the reason why. Yeah.
Mr. Milner, you are the father.
In this video, Miss Reeves claims that Mr. Silva's doubt about the paternity of his child is affecting their relationship.
You now stand here in court with your own case because you say there is absolutely no way you are the biological father of the plaintiff's son. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Reeves, explain to the court how this paternity doubt has affected your relationship.
Well, it's affected everything in my life. We've been on and off for about 3 years. Right now, every single time I turn around, it's always, oh, are you sure that he's my baby? Are you sure that he's my baby? Yes, I'm 100% sure. Like, why do you keep asking me? And don't get me wrong, he's a good guy, but I just want us to be able to move forward in our relationship without having any more arguments. And so I feel like the best way for us to be able to do this is for us to go ahead and get a DNA test, make sure that Legend is the biological son for him.
Mr. Silva reveals his philosophy of life that brings about this doubt.
Mr. Silva, why do you have doubts?
I just don't trust her, Your Honor. I feel like she's tricking me into believing that I'm Legend's father. I grew up loving women, loving sex.
You grew up loving sex.
To me, I always felt like it was okay for men to go out, have sex, and, you know, cheat, come home to their family. And women can't go out, have sex, and, you know, come home, and especially with a baby, you know, trying to say that I'm his father.
And here's the out-of-pocket moment that causes the judge and the whole court to crack up.
Well, Your Honor, I feel
Every
like,
man feels
you know,
like that.
God created men to conquer, to overrule, and women cannot empower. Women cannot empower men.
What are we on, Game of Thrones?
You see what I deal with every day.
Oh, what are we talking about?
He also gives another unbelievable reason to buttress his claim that the child isn't his.
How could I tell the baby is mine if he doesn't really even look like me for real?
Look at him. What are you talking
Her
about?
ex looks just like me. He could be her ex.
So you're saying there's such a striking resemblance between you and her ex.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's hard for you to tell because the child looks so much like her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Reeves expresses her pain and what Mr. Silva plans to do if the paternity test is negative, causing Mr. White to respond.
It hurts me like you've been around him for a long time, you know what I mean? And so now, if he's not sure, it's all of a sudden you don't want nothing to do with me at all. You don't
She
want
tried
nothing to
me.
do with him.
How you gonna make me
You
take care of
tried
somebody else?
me.
Your Honor, I love Jennifer. I mean,
So with or without Legend, we should still be together. It shouldn't be no
No.
kick rocks.
nah, you kicking rocks.
After everything, the paternity test result reveals this.
In the case of Reeves versus Silva, when it comes to 7-month-old Legend Silva, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Silva, you are the father.
Mr. White isn't only here because he believes he and his 3-year-old daughter, Savannah, deserve the truth about her paternity, but also because of this.
You just don't have any trust in this relationship.
No, because from a week after we got married until February of this year, I've been catching her cheating constantly.
A week after you got married?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mrs. White defends herself with claims of abandonment issues, and this is her answer as to why she cheats on him.
Ms. White, have you been cheating?
Yes, but I have like abandonment issues because I was adopted. So like if he's not showing me the love and affection that I need, and I mean I'm not trying to like make excuses for myself because I admit what I've done is wrong, but I just want him to like show me love and affection and be there for me and like hold my hand in public and just be there.
Mr. White says he has lots of evidence of his wife's infidelity.
Do you have any other reason to believe that your wife cheated other times?
I have text messages proof right here of the most recent is Valentine's Day. She went to another man's house while I'm sitting at the house with the kid.
And here's what Mrs. White has to say.
Well, that's because you didn't even get me anything and you were just yelling at me. You were treating me like crap and was gonna go to a friend's house, so.
Because you were saying you were going to a park at 9 o'clock at night.
Well, it
and you
was
said
7
you
o'clock.
wanted the
Let
kids
me
to stay
see
with
this
me.
evidence.
After going back and forth with more shreds of evidence, this is the result of the paternity test.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. White, you are her father.
Ms. Thomas asserts that it's a committed relationship while Mr. McKee admits it's casual, and this is the beginning of the paternity doubts regarding their son Carson.
Yes, ma'am.
How long had you been driving 45 minutes to see him, Miss Thomas?
Oh, about a month or so, or longer.
So about a month you would drive to go see him?
Like every other day, I drive. Like at nighttime, I put my kids to bed. I go see him until it's time for them to go to school. I wake up and be back home before my kids wake. So I have an older child, so she'll be home with them. But I didn't do it every day. I did it like every other day.
When Miss Thomas got pregnant, she told Mr. McKee, and this is what he says.
I say, I'm pregnant. He's like, oh, okay, so whatever you decide to do, just let me know.
I believe that's all he said. So, Mr. McKee, when you found out she was pregnant, what were you thinking, sir?
Well, she called me when she was like 3 months pregnant. I know I got a phone call, I was at work, and I told her I'd call her back, but I ended up blocking her number.
After the baby was born, Mr. McKee got the picture, and he says the baby looks like this famous person.
So, Mr. McKee, she sent you a text with the picture of the baby. Your first response was what?
The baby look like he can be for Donald Trump.
Then, Miss Thomas's history is revealed as a plot twist in the case, which Mr. McKee uses to back up his allegations.
Whoever else you think she might be meeting?
You feel like because she has more than one child, that she potentially was entertaining a lot of different men.
Right. That's what
And
he's
so
trying to
it's
say.
not just you she was sleeping with. Is that what you're trying to say?
1 month.
Oh, now I get what you're saying. Okay, could you just talk? Kinda,
After several revelations about Miss Thomas's past, the paternity test results are revealed.
In the case of Thomas versus McKee, when it comes to 8-month-old Carson Thomas, it has been determined by this court. Mr. McKee, you are not the father.
And the result leads to another plot twist, and this is what the judge has to say.
Do you know who Carson's father is?
Yes, like my ex before I met him.
Did you know that and just want it to be Mr. McKee's?
No, I didn't think of it at all. It was a time space in between.
Honestly, for Carson's sake, I'm glad we got down to the bottom of this. I need you to do what you need to do and find this child's father, because I don't want this baby walking around the streets of his community his whole life facing what he did as a baby.
Ms. Graham and Mr. Scott are planning their wedding. However, the result of the paternity test of their 4-year-old daughter, Taylor Rose, has their engagement on the line.
Ms. Graham, you are here to prove to your on-again, off-again fiancé, Mr. Scott, that your 4-year-old daughter, Taylor, is his biological child. You say his paternity denial is destroying your relationship, and you need today's results to save your family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Scott, you state that the timeline for conception does not add up, so you can't be Taylor's father. You say your engagement is on the line and you want the truth. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Graham, you say you need today's results to save your relationship. Tell the court why.
Basically, we're planning a wedding, and we're getting in arguments every day about the paternity. He knows he's the father. He's knew since I've told him several times that he's the father, and he still tries to deny it. And I just want this resolved today.
Mr. Scott claims the child isn't his due to her features by saying this to the court.
I am not the father. Look at her nose, look at her eyes, look at her ears. I am not the father. Your Honor, I asked her for a test over and over again.
He makes a shocking statement, causing Miss Graham to react.
I don't want to
So
move on
if
with
Taylor's not your biological child, you're not getting married.
Hell no. Excuse me.
Oh,
That's news to you.
that's definitely news to me.
While the case was ongoing, Mr. Scott makes an out-of-pocket statement, and the judge has several things to say about it.
Twins run in my family. Taylor Rose is not a twin.
Well, every child born in a family that has twins won't be a twin.
Well, I know my sister didn't have any twins. I know I will be the one to have twins. Taylor Rose is not my child.
Where are you getting this information from, Mr. Scott?
It's what I know.
How do you know it?
From my family history, I know.
Oh, you have a family history that what? Every generation has a twin?
Yes.
Have you checked that against biology?
To be honest, I haven't.
That would be a no.
But I'm
Okay, it's all right. The fact that Taylor is not a twin does not preclude her from being your biological child.
Well,
After the whole argument, here's the result of the test and what Mr. Scott has to say.
Mr. Scott, you are not the father.
thank you, Your Honor. I already knew I wasn't.
Mr. Milner admits he would be devastated if the paternity test for his son is negative, and here is why he's requesting the test.
I feel like she been deceiving me because when I first met her, I told her straight up what I want. And that is, I want a family. I want to be a family man. I'm done reading the streets. I'm really tired of that. And I feel like at the time, as soon as I said that, the light came up above her head, like, bing, I got me a duck. You heard me? I'm finna go ahead and pluck this man for whatever I can.
Ms. Heath gives her version of how their story began.
You exchange numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, I get to talking to him. I get to feeling him out a little more. And I felt like he was intelligent, like he wanted something out of life. You know, I had seen something in him that I thought, you know, that we could make something out of this.
Okay. Were you in a committed relationship or are you just seeing other people too?
No commitment.
No, we were, as far as I was concerned, Your Honor, within a couple of days, we were in a relationship, literally.
This is how Mr. Milner reacts to the news of Miss Heath's pregnancy, and he says this births his doubt.
Mr. Milner, I want to hear from you. When you found out she was pregnant, what was your response?
I mean, I was happy. I was excited.
He didn't
and then I started having doubt. I'm like, dang, hold up.
He didn't have a response, Your Honor.
And I
What
was
made
excited.
you say, hold up, hold up, hold up?
Sure, we just met. And you pregnant 2-3 weeks later?
His family members is the reason why.
No.
Yeah.
While Miss Heath says she's sure of the paternity of her baby, Mr. Milner reveals to the court another reason he doubts her.
So, Mr. Milner, I want to understand this.
I'ma tell
Why
you
do you
what
have doubt?
After everything done happened, we got us an apartment. She sitting there, we watching TV, her head is in my lap. Me and her is talking real well. Next thing I know, she just bust out the tears. I mean, just go straight to crying. I don't know if the baby yours or not. Ooh.
That is not true.
So I'm like...
That's not true, Your Honor.
And then Miss Heath makes a revelation in reaction to Mr. Milner's doubt allegations.
I kept trying to make sure with my doctor that I had the conception dates right. When the date got moved back, I was like, well, maybe it, you know, maybe the other, in my head, I was like, maybe it could be another, the other gentleman.
I thought you all were in a committed relationship.
It happened prior to Mr. Milner. That's why I don't understand it. I understand his doubt, but I don't understand the fuel to his fire is like I cheated on him. I did not.
After several arguments, Mr. Milner says the following regarding the potential outcome of the test.
If it's determined you are not Zacario's biological father, do you intend on trying to make the relationship work?
Nope, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I mean... Call me what you want to call me, just don't call me late for dinner. I'm gonna be out of there quicker than the Jerry curl when it get wet. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it.
And then the paternity test result is revealed, earning this reaction from Mr. Milner.
In the case of Milner Sr. versus Heath, when it comes to 3-month-old Zacario Milner Jr., it has been determined by this court. Mr. Milner, you are the father.
Hey!